The principal of the private school, Marcus Johnson, let out a deep sigh as he gazed out at the schoolyard from his spacious glass-walled office. The school was one of the most prestigious educational institutions in New York. However, lately, complaints from students and parents had been on the rise. There was gossip among the teachers and unrest among the students. Marcus thought that the only way to get to the root of these problems was to personally observe what was happening inside the school. "If I ask the teachers and staff, I won't get honest answers," he muttered to himself. "Everyone sees me as the principal. The only way to uncover the truth is to blend in among them." Marcus immediately put his plan into action. He cut his hair, put on a simple pair of glasses, and dressed in shabby clothes. He created a new identity for himself: Michael Harris. As an experienced history teacher, he applied to the school and was quickly hired. No one realized that this humble teacher was actually the school's principal. On his first day, Marcus, now Michael Harris, stepped through the school gates and felt as though he had entered a different world. He quietly took a seat in a corner of the teacher's lounge and began observing his surroundings. The teachers were chatting with each other, sipping their coffee, and discussing their daily tasks. However, Marcus immediately noticed the tension among them. It seemed as though no one fully trusted each other. When he entered his first class, the students' behavior also caught his attention. Some students seemed disinterested in the lesson, while others appeared overly stressed. A few students in the class, noticing that the teacher was new, tried to test him, but Marcus, being an experienced educator, handled the situation with ease. During lunch break, an argument broke out in the teacher's lounge. Sarah Thompson, the math teacher, raised her voice at David Miller, the English teacher, saying, "You're inflating the grades again. These kids can't possibly be that successful." David defended himself. "I'm just trying to boost the students' motivation. You should be a little more understanding." Marcus silently watched this argument. How was this rivalry among the teachers affecting the students' education? Was the school's success solely based on exam results, or were the students' happiness and self-confidence equally important? In the evening, as Marcus left the school, he returned home with a head full of questions. On his first day, he had learned more than he had expected, but there was still much more to uncover. The next day, he decided to spend more time with the students and understand what they were truly feeling. The next morning, Marcus, now Michael Harris, arrived at school early. He had spent the night thinking about the students' behavior and searching for ways to connect with them on a deeper level. However, the scene he encountered on his second day truly worried him. When he entered the classroom, there was a palpable tension among the students. Jessica. A girl in the class was shouting at Mike, a boy sitting nearby. "Because of you, I couldn't finish my homework. Don't mess with me again." Mike responded with a sarcastic smile. "Who cares about your homework? No one actually learns anything in this school anyway." Marcus stepped to the front of the class and said, "Hey, calm down. What's going on? You shouldn't treat each other like this." But the students didn't take him seriously. Jessica shrugged and said, "Mr. Harris, you're new here, so you don't get it. This is just how it is." Mike leaned back in his chair and added, "Yeah, don't waste your energy." No one listens to anyone here. Throughout the lesson, Marcus did his best to capture the students' attention. He told interesting stories from history, asked questions, and even cracked a few jokes. But the students were either talking among themselves or scrolling through their phones. No one was paying attention to the lesson, and no one took the teacher seriously. As Marcus left the classroom at the end of the lesson, he felt a pang of disappointment. Why are these kids like this? He wondered. Why don't they respect anything? Is this just my class, or is it the whole school? When he went to the teacher's lounge, he overheard other teachers voicing similar complaints. Sarah Thompson. The math teacher was chatting with a group of colleagues. None of these kids pay attention in class. No matter what we do, it's pointless. It's like they think they're at an amusement park, not a school. Marcus approached the teachers and quietly said, "Guys, I have a question for you." Everyone turned to him, surprised. David Miller. The English teacher replied, "Go ahead, Michael, ask away." Marcus took a deep breath and asked, "Have these kids always been like this? They don't listen to the lessons, they don't respect us, and they treat each other harshly. How long has this been going on?" A silence fell over the group. Then, Emily Carter. The science teacher sighed and said, "Yes, Michael, it's always been like this. No matter what we've tried, we haven't been able to fix it. It's like these kids don't care at all. The parents aren't much help either. Everyone just trusts the school's reputation, but they have no idea what's really going on inside." Sarah nodded and added, "We've tried everything. We've given out disciplinary actions, met with parents, even brought in psychological support. But nothing has changed. It's like these kids don't want to be part of the school." Marcus was stunned by their responses. He knew the school looked perfect from the outside, but he hadn't expected such chaos within. "Well," he asked, "have any of you ever thought about why these kids act this way? Maybe we need to understand their stories." David smirked and said, "Michael, you're new, so you're being idealistic. But trust me, it's too late to understand their stories. They're only here to get a diploma. They have no other purpose." Marcus felt a surge of anger at these words, but he didn't show it. Maybe we need to give them a purpose, he thought. Maybe these kids act this way because no one has ever really listened to them. As he left school that evening, Marcus began forming a plan in his mind. To understand why the students behave this way and to reach them, he needed to try a different approach. Perhaps he needed to speak their language and show them that they were truly valued. Marcus decided to adopt a different strategy to connect with the students. Instead of just teaching lessons, he chose to listen to their stories. The next day, as he entered the classroom, he wrote on the board, "Today, it's not about history. Today, I want to hear your stories." The students exchanged puzzled glances. Jessica, with a sarcastic tone, asked, "Mr. Harris, our stories? What are we even supposed to say?" Marcus smiled calmly and replied, "Everyone has a story. Maybe the reason you act this way is because no one has ever really listened to you. Today, I want to listen." A silence fell over the classroom. No one seemed willing to speak up. Finally, Mike broke the silence. "All right, I'll start," he said. "My dad always expects me to do well in school, but no matter what I do, it's never enough for him. So, I've just stopped trying. It's not like anyone accepts me for who I am anyway." Marcus listened carefully to Mike's words. "I understand, Mike. Sometimes people don't see us for who we are. They only see who they want us to be. But you can carve your own path. You just have to believe in yourself." Jessica, moved by the conversation, spoke up next. "Can I say something too?" she asked. Marcus nodded encouragingly. Jessica continued, "My parents got divorced. My mom works really hard to send me to this school, but sometimes I wonder if being here even matters. Everyone expects me to be perfect, but I just want to be happy." Marcus noticed the sadness in Jessica's eyes. "Jessica, your feelings are so important. You don't have to be perfect. Just be yourself. There will always be people who accept you for who you are." One by one, the other students began to share their stories. Some felt neglected by their families, others had been excluded by their peers, and some simply felt alone. Marcus listened intently to each one, making them feel valued and heard. As the class went on, the atmosphere began to shift. The students, who had initially been disengaged, started to open up. Marcus shared a few of his own experiences too, making the conversation feel more like a dialogue than a lecture. He talked about the pressures he had faced growing up and how he had learned to overcome self-doubt. His vulnerability seemed to resonate with the students, breaking down the walls they had built around themselves. By the end of the lesson, the mood in the classroom had completely changed. The students, who had once seemed indifferent, now looked at Marcus with a sense of respect and trust. They had never had a teacher who took the time to truly listen to them. Marcus stood at the front of the class and said, "Today was really special for me. Hearing your stories reminded me why I became a teacher in the first place. Each one of you is unique, and each one of you matters. I want you to know that I'm here for you, not just as your teacher, but as someone who cares about you." The students exchanged glances, some smiling faintly, others nodding in agreement. For the first time in a long while, they felt seen and heard. Marcus could see the change in their eyes, a spark of hope that hadn't been there before. As the bell rang and the students began to pack up, Marcus felt a sense of accomplishment. He knew this was just the beginning, but it was a step in the right direction. He had managed to break through their defenses, even if only a little. Now, his goal was to build on this foundation and help them see their own potential. That evening, as Marcus reflected on the day, he realized how much he had learned from his students. Their stories had given him a deeper understanding of the challenges they faced. He knew it wouldn't be easy to change the culture of the school, but he was determined to try. For the first time in a long while, he felt hopeful about the future. The bond Marcus had formed with the students began to slowly resonate throughout the school. Students were eager to be in Michael Harris's class. His lessons were no longer just an obligation, but had become an experience. Other teachers watched this change with astonishment. The students in Marcus's class were now participating, asking questions, and even seeking opportunities to chat with him outside of class. One day, Sarah Thompson, the math teacher, approached Marcus in the teacher's lounge. "Michael, what did you do to change these kids so much?" she asked, amazed. "They sit quietly in your class. They listen. They engage. How did this happen? We've been trying for years, but you managed to change everything in just a few weeks." Marcus smiled and replied, "I listened to them, Sarah. That's all. Each of them has a story. They want to feel valued. We need to give them that value. We need to show them that we're not just their teachers, but their guides." Sarah nodded thoughtfully. "Maybe you're right. Maybe we've been too focused on just teaching them the curriculum. We never really took the time to understand how they feel or what they're going through." Marcus shared this approach with the other teachers as well. The kids aren't just about grades. We need to touch their hearts. We need to show them that we're not just here to teach them, but to guide them. We can make a difference in their lives, but first, we need to understand them. The teachers were moved by Marcus's words. Gradually, they began to adopt his approach. In their classrooms, they started having more conversations with the students, trying to understand their emotions. However, not everything was going smoothly. The students still exhibited challenging behaviors, especially when they felt pressured, and some continued to make mistakes. One day, Mike approached Marcus. His face was filled with worry. "Mr. Harris, I made a mistake," he mumbled. "Last week I cheated on the exam, but I didn't want to. I just felt so much pressure to meet my dad's expectations. I feel like I have to get everything right, and I'm scared of failing." Marcus placed a hand on Mike's shoulder. "Mike, making mistakes is part of being human. What matters is what you learn from them. The fact that you're being honest about this shows how brave you are. We can work together to fix this mistake." Mike looked at him with anxious eyes. "Really, Mr. Harris? Will you forgive me?" Marcus replied, "Of course, Mike. Not only will I forgive you, but I'll also be here to support you through this. Together, we can figure out how to handle this pressure. I'm here for you." Mike seemed to relax at Marcus's words. "Thank you, Mr. Harris. This means a lot to me," he said. Marcus gave him a reassuring smile. "I'm always here for you, Mike. Remember, you're not just a student. You're an individual, and your worth isn't measured by your grades." This conversation became a turning point for Mike. With Marcus's support, his confidence began to grow. However, Marcus's work was far from over. Other students in the school were struggling with similar issues. Marcus made it his mission to reach out to each of them and offer his support. In the teacher's lounge, other teachers began to notice the change as well. Emily Carter, the science teacher, approached Marcus one day. "Michael, your methods are really working. The students are becoming more open and honest. This could be a turning point for the entire school," she said. Marcus thanked her and replied, "Yes, but this is just the beginning. We need to work harder to make a real difference in our students' lives. We need to teach them not just knowledge, but life skills as well." As time went on, the bond Marcus had formed with the students began to transform the school's atmosphere. Students started to feel more valued, and teachers became more supportive. Marcus knew this change was only the beginning, but every step he took was contributing to making the school a better place. The bond Marcus had formed with the students created a significant transformation in the school. However, his true identity remained a secret, until one day, Jessica accidentally stumbled upon a photo in Marcus's office. In the photo, Marcus was posing alongside the school's founder. Jessica's eyes widened in shock. "Mr. Harris, is this you? You're in a photo with the school's principal," she exclaimed. Marcus realized there was no point in hiding the truth any longer. He returned to the classroom and addressed the students. "Yes, Jessica. I am the principal of this school. I took on the identity of Michael Harris to blend in among you because I wanted to truly understand what was happening here." A stunned silence filled the room. The students stared at Marcus in disbelief. Finally, Mike broke the silence. "So, all this time, the person who listened to us, who valued us, was actually the school's principal?" Marcus nodded. "Yes, Mike. I wanted to understand how you truly felt, and now I believe that together we can make this school a better place." The students were deeply moved by his revelation. Jessica, her eyes filled with tears, said, "Mr. Harris, you believed in us, and we believe in you too. Now this school feels like a family." Marcus hugged his students. "Yes, Jessica, we are a family, and together we can overcome anything." Marcus returned to his role as the school's principal, but this time, the bond he had formed with the students and teachers completely transformed the school's atmosphere. Everyone began to respect one another, listen to each other, and offer support where it was needed. As Marcus stood in his office, looking out at the schoolyard, he smiled with pride. Perhaps real education isn't just about teaching lessons, he thought. It's about touching hearts. And with that, the school truly became a family.